Scary telling. I've always had a fascination with antique dolls. Something about them just draws me in. Maybe it's the delicate porcelain or the intricate clothing they wear. Whatever it is, I can't resist the urge to collect them. One day, I was walking past a thrift store and saw the most beautiful doll in the window. It was a porcelain doll with long brown hair and blue eyes that seemed to sparkle in the sunlight. I knew right then and there that I had to have it. I walked into the store and made a beeline for the doll. As soon as I picked it up, I felt a connection to it. It was like the doll was meant to be mine. I eagerly took it to the counter and paid for it before rushing home to add it to my collection. When I got home, I carefully placed the doll on the shelf next to my bed. It looked right at home among my other antique dolls. I couldn't wait to admire it every day. As the day turned to night, I fell asleep with a smile on my face, dreaming of all the adventures I would have with my new doll. Little did I know, things were about to take a dark turn. That night, I woke up to a strange sound coming from the direction of the doll. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but then I heard it again. It sounded like soft laughter. I turned on the lamp next to my bed, and that's when I saw that the doll was no longer on the shelf. It was sitting on my bed, staring right at me with its piercing blue eyes. I froze, unsure of what to do. I reached out to pick up the doll and put it back on the shelf, but when I touched it, I felt a shiver run down my spine. It was like the doll was alive, and it was watching me. Over the next few nights, strange things continued to happen. I would wake up in the middle of the night to find the doll had moved from its spot on the shelf and was now sitting on my bed or next to me on the nightstand. It was as if the doll had a life of its own. I tried to rationalize the strange occurrences, thinking that maybe I had just moved the doll in my sleep or that my mind was playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. One night, I woke up to the sound of the doll's laughter again. This time, it was louder than before, and it sounded almost menacing. I sat up in bed and looked around, but I didn't see the doll anywhere. That's when I noticed that the door to my bedroom was slightly ajar. I got out of bed and cautiously walked towards the door. As I pushed it open, I saw the doll sitting on the other side, staring at me with its glowing blue eyes. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my mouth. It was like the doll had somehow silenced me. From that moment on, I knew that something was seriously wrong with the doll. It was no longer a harmless antique, but a malevolent force that was slowly taking over my life. I was trapped with the haunted doll, and I didn't know how to escape. As the days went on, the doll's power over me only seemed to grow stronger. Every night, I would wake up to find it closer and closer to me, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. I was terrified, but I didn't know what to do. One night, I decided that enough was enough. I had to get rid of the doll, no matter what it took. I got out of bed and walked over to the shelf where I had first placed it. But when I reached out to grab it, the doll's arm shot out and grabbed my wrist. I screamed and tried to pull away, but the doll's grip was too strong. It began to speak in a deep, menacing voice. "You should not have taken me from the store," it said. "Now, you will never be able to escape me." I tried to run, but the door was locked from the inside. I was trapped with the haunted doll, and I knew that I was in grave danger. I tried to fight back, but the doll was too strong. It was like it had supernatural powers that made it invincible. For what seemed like hours, I battled the doll, trying to break free from its grasp. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape. It was like the doll was a part of me now, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Eventually, I grew tired and weak. I knew that I had lost the battle. The doll's grip on me grew tighter, and I could feel its malevolent energy taking over. And then everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying on the floor, my body weak and my mind foggy. The doll was sitting next to me, its eyes still glowing red. I knew that I was no match for its evil power, and I feared that I would never be able to escape its grasp. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The doll's hold over me never wavered, and I was never able to escape its malevolent power. I grew weak and tired, and I knew that I was slowly losing my mind. I tried to tell my parents about what was happening, but they didn't believe me. They thought that I was just having nightmares and that the doll was just a harmless antique. But I knew the truth. The doll was alive, and it was out to get me. One night, as I was lying in bed, I heard a loud knock at the door. I got up and went to answer it, but when I opened the door, no one was there. I looked around, but the street was empty. That's when I heard the laughter again. I turned around, and there it was. The doll was sitting on the shelf, its eyes glowing brighter than ever before. It was like it was mocking me, taunting me with its presence. I knew that I had to do something, anything, to get rid of it. But no matter what I did, the doll always found its way back to me. My parents tried to get rid of it, but it always seemed to come back. They buried it in the backyard, threw it in the garbage, even burned it, but it always found its way back to us. As time went on, the doll's reputation grew in the small town where we lived. People whispered about its evil powers and the tragic story of how it had claimed my life. But no one could seem to get rid of it for good. One day, a group of teenagers decided to dig up the doll as a prank. They thought it would be funny to scare their friends with it. Little did they know, they had awakened the evil spirit of the doll. Within days, strange things began happening all over town. People reported hearing laughter in the middle of the night, and some even claimed to have seen the doll sitting on their beds. The doll had claimed new victims, and the town was in chaos. No one knew how to stop the cursed doll. It seemed like it would haunt the town forever. But little did they know, a young girl was about to arrive in town, and she was determined to put an end to the doll's reign of terror. I arrived in the town with a sense of purpose. I had heard the stories of the haunted doll and knew that I had to do something to stop it. As I walked around the town, I could feel the doll's presence everywhere. It was like it was watching me, waiting for its next victim. But I wasn't afraid. I knew that I had the power to stop it. I enlisted the help of a few brave friends, and together, we made a plan to put an end to the doll's reign of terror. We gathered all the information we could find about the doll's history and its cursed powers. We learned that the doll was once owned by a powerful witch who had cursed it to seek revenge on anyone who crossed her. We knew that the only way to defeat the doll was to break the curse. We set out to find the witch's grave and perform a ritual that would lift the curse and free the town from the doll's evil power. As we walked through the woods, we could feel the doll's energy growing stronger. We knew that we were getting close to the witch's grave. When we finally found it, we began the ritual. We chanted the incantation and burned herbs that were meant to cleanse the area of evil spirits. Suddenly, we felt a strong gust of wind, and we knew that we had broken the curse. We returned to town, and as we walked down the street, we could feel the doll's power waning. We knew that we had done it. We had defeated the haunted doll. The town was at peace once again, and we were hailed as heroes. But I knew that I could never forget the lessons I learned from the haunted doll. I knew that evil was real and that it could come in many forms. But I also knew that with a little bit of courage and a lot of determination, anything was possible. As I left the town, I looked back one last time, and I could swear I saw the doll's eyes staring at me through the window of an old antique shop. But this time, they were filled with something different. They were filled with fear. The haunted doll was defeated, and it would never terrorize anyone again.